In its raw form, the NFL draft is truly a boring process. Think about it. It could simply be done in a conference room. Each team picks in order to bring in 300 players to give them a shot at making it in the NFL. Every major sports team in the US has a draft, but none garner the attention and excitement of the NFL draft. The NFL has committed endless resources into making its annual draft a nationwide spectacle. They've taken an intrinsically boring process and turned it into a massive in-person party which cities around the world vie to host, and a nationally broadcasted event that millions of people tune into across all 3 days. An NFL draft pick is nothing more than a lottery ticket. You win some, but you lose many. Your first-round pick could turn into your team's next Ring of Honor inductee or prove to be one of the biggest busts in NFL history. Let's take a look back at some of the most famous draft picks in New York Jets history, from the great ones to the busts and those players we wish the Jets had picked instead. In order to have annual consistent success in the NFL, you have to be great at evaluating and drafting talent. Top-level free agents are great for filling holes on your team, but your biggest resource and easiest way to develop a great team is to draft one. Some of the greatest players in Jets history were homegrown players selected in the draft. Let's start with the most famous Jets player of all time, Broadway Joe Namath. Joe Namath's Super Bowl III victory transcends time. Rihanna references it in her hit song Wild Thoughts when she says, "Beat it like the '68 Jets." Joe Namath proved that NFL players can be superstars on and off the field. In the 1965 NFL Draft, the St. Louis Cardinals selected Joe Namath at 12, but in the AFL Draft, the New York Jets selected him at first overall. Ultimately, Namath chose to join the Jets, and the rest is history. He's without a doubt our most influential player in history. His opinion continues to carry immense weight throughout the Jets organization and New York media today. The Jets have another famous Joe, and our most recent NFL Hall of Fame inductee alongside Darrelle Revis, Joe Klecko. Klecko was selected by the Jets in the 6th round of the 1977 NFL Draft. Klecko was a member of one of the most famous and feared offensive lines in NFL history as the leader of the New York Sack Exchange, alongside Marty Lyons, Mark Gastineau, and Abdul Salam. Ultimately, Klecko retired with an unofficial career 78 sacks, official 24 sacks since the sack was not an official stat until 1982. Klecko was inducted into the Jets Ring of Honor in 2010 and the NFL Hall of Fame in 2023. Next on our list of draft hits, we have two players who Jets fans wish we had protecting Aaron Rodgers currently. DeBrickashaw Ferguson and Nick Mangold were key pieces of the 2010's New York Jets. DeBrick was selected with the 4th pick in the 2006 draft, and Mangold was selected with the 29th pick in the same year. DeBrick remarkably only missed one snap in his entire NFL career and played 160 consecutive games. They ultimately played 126 total games together. Mangold and DeBrick were both inducted into the New York Jets Ring of Honor in 2022. As I said before, an NFL draft pick is truly a lottery ticket. Every pick can't become the next Joe Klecko. The perfect example of this is when the Jets selected Vernon Gston with the 6th pick in the 2008 draft. Gston was a star coming out of Ohio State, named an All-American, first-team Big Ten, and Defensive Lineman of the Year in the 2007 college football season. Gston was expected to play at outside linebacker for the team, but ultimately barely saw the field as a rookie, and even after moving to defensive end his second year, he also barely played. Gston never recorded a sack in the NFL. It's always hard to ask what if when it comes to NFL draft picks. What if the Jets had drafted Patrick Mahomes? Would he be the Mahomes we know today? The answer is probably not. NFL players generally will flourish, especially as young players, if they've been drafted to the perfect environment, with the best possible coaching and support around them. But it's still fun to look back at how Jets history could have been different if we had just picked someone else. These questions often fall in the quarterback position. What if we had picked Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson over Sam Darnold? Or what if we had selected Dan Marino over Ken O'Brien? The 1983 draft was absolutely stacked at the quarterback position. 3 of these quarterbacks ended up in the Hall of Fame: John Elway, Jim Kelly, and Dan Marino. The selection of Ken O'Brien at 24th, with Marino still on the board, was a head-turning choice. Ultimately, O'Brien still ended up being a good player overall, with 2 Pro Bowl appearances, and beat Marino in their famous 1986 duel. But how would Jets history be different if Dan Marino had been the Jets quarterback? Probably the most famous what-if scenario for the Jets came in the 1995 draft when they famously selected tight end Kyle Brady with the 9th overall pick. when future Hall of Famer Warren Sapp was still on the board. In the background of the selection, Jets fans could be heard chanting for Sapp. There was no reason for the Jets to select Brady, especially when they already had decent tight ends on the team. Kyle Brady went on to have a decent career for a tight end, but Warren Sapp went on to be inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2013 with 7 Pro Bowls, a Defensive Player of the Year, a Super Bowl, and 4 first-team All-Pros to his name. Let's hope that the Jets can find their next brick in the upcoming draft to protect our future Hall of Fame quarterback in the 2024 season.